What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free. To live your best life, you must live label free. And I'm back with another incredible guest. My next guest is a molecular hydrogen production expert, researcher, and host of the popular YouTube channel Uprising 144K. Please welcome Greg, the Hydrogen Man. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invite. Thanks for having me on.
Oh my gosh. So, like I said before we started recording, I am this is a topic I've never covered before. Crazily enough, I'm over 700 episodes. Something I've
Yeah.
never covered. And so your background is you stumbled upon this because you were dealing with some issues yourself, right? You're looking for some answers to you had what was it, depression, and you had a compromised immune system, tumors, autoimmune issues. So you were dealing with a lot of stuff, and that's why you are so passionate and are called the Hydrogen Man. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, a lot of major medical issues, some of the ones that you mentioned, even more than that, having gut issues, the autoimmune issues. I even had a severe heart condition. Technically, I'm not even supposed to be alive right now. So
Wow.
if that tells you anything.
Well, you look great.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, that's very kind of you. And, and ironically, I also worked in the medical field for about 2 decades. And that was actually a big eye opener and very disappointing in the fact that I really saw the limits of what modern medicine, the limits of
Yeah,
what it really has to offer. And I remember thinking to myself, I hope to God I never get sick. And then eventually I did get sick, and it wasn't minor. It was so severe to the point where I literally couldn't walk, and
that's
I was in
terrible.
so much pain. Yeah, so that was the beginning of the journey. I mean, I remember I literally couldn't grab like a remote control and change the channels on the television because my joints hurt so bad.
It's terrible.
Um, so it was pretty severe, and I needed to find my way out because, quote unquote, Western medicine didn't have the answers. I went to naturopathic physicians, they didn't help me. I tried a bunch of different diets, that didn't help. I tried a bunch of different supplements, that didn't help. I just tried a lot of different health equipment, and that's when I started realizing, before I begin, I always like to say, I'm not going to give any medical advice today. I'm not going to make
Yeah.
medical claims. And I'm not making claims for or against any products out there. But, I just had to really find my own path, which entailed a lot of, for people who don't know my personality, I'm like a huge skeptic, meaning I don't just believe what people tell me. I
Yeah.
need to have data, especially in the world of medicine, because everybody and their mother tries to, they always what was frustrating for me when I was trying to learn about health is that you watch these different shows or listen to different people, but they're all contradicting each other,
Yes.
and
1000%.
it's so frustrating. And so I had to start doing critical thinking on my own, and I started having to look at more hardcore data and science, and not just short-term research, by the way, because that's where they trick you. Short-term research and long-term research, they'll look different. So something
Yeah.
may look good in the short term, but in the long term, it's not sustainable
Right.
and it's not even good for you. And so that's how I ended up having to really figure things out. And that's when I stumbled upon the research for hydrogen, which originally I thought was a scam because when I was reading about it, I thought this stuff is way too good to be true. There is
Yeah.
no way that this is real. And I read the data for almost 4 years, if you can imagine that.
Wow.
And yep, and I kept stumbling upon it, and I became so desperate because my medical condition it just kept getting worse. And so after all that, I finally thought, you know what, maybe I need to give this hydrogen stuff a chance. And I just went huge deep dive. I started looking at where the research was coming out of. And that's when I found that it was coming out from very legitimate places in Japan and
Okay. Wow.
really good scientific research. And so I became quite impressed. And then, of course, it was literally being used medically. So it's actually being used about roughly 30 university hospitals in Japan. So it's legit. It's the real deal. And all it
Yes.
is, I mean, we are talking about a gas. Molecular
Right.
hydrogen is a
Right. I was going to
gas.
ask you next. Can you explain to us, like, what exactly does this mean?
I mean,
Like,
it's just a gas, just like oxygen is a gas,
yeah.
right? Just like ozone, like these different gases have different effects on the human body. And so it's just a gas. And one of my methods, I use a lot of methods to figure out my protocols and create all this stuff. But yes, I looked at the science, but I would also observe nature. So I would
Sure.
observe how nature works, because to me, nature is phenomenal.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
people don't know that. Have you heard of a place called Lourdes, France, or Lourdes, France?
Yes. Yeah. Hmm.
And they're like the healing holy waters of Lourdes
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Hmm.
that people drink, and they have these miraculous healing stories. And they even thought it was all just like me. A lot of professionals thought this is all a scam. It's psychosomatic. It must be placebo. There's just no way this is real. But they were tracking people's medical issues, and they literally were improving. They could measure them. And so they ended up sending scientists to study the water, and nobody could figure it out. Everybody kept saying it's just H2O. There's nothing
Yeah.
magical about it. Because if you take a sample of the water and send it to a lab, by the
Yeah.
time it gets to the lab, all the gas in it, all the hydrogen's gone.
Sure.
So anyway, it wasn't until the Japanese figured it out. Leave it to the Japanese. They're pretty
Well, yeah.
incredible
Very,
people.
very intelligent.
I'm very fond of what they've done because the equipment that they created, most of the equipment out there, like these bottles and stuff that exist out there, they're all made in China. And taking the deep dives, they're not doing it right. They're
Sure.
cutting corners, making it cheap. You know how China does it. I mean, it's a
Well,
very
yeah.
common thing.
I
And
buy some of those products. I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty of it too. But we get whatever duped into buying that stuff. But yeah, okay, keep going. Sorry.
and so no, you're fine. So ultimately, the Japanese did obviously really really good research, and I took that deep dive, and I was so impressed with the data as far as what hydrogen appeared to be able to do. And I started trying like what I call garbage products. I started trying like hydrogen tablets. I
Okay.
started trying these little bottles. I even tried things like Kangen, and it
And so
wasn't
the
working.
bottle that you keep bringing that, pulling that
Yeah.
up. What exactly does that do? Because I've never seen that before.
So you're just supposed to put water in it, and it's supposed to dissolve hydrogen gas into the water.
Just by what? Pressing a button
Yeah,
or?
you push a button, the electrolysis process.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
But there's a lot of issues with these. I mean, people have already found, I mean, there's been some big promoters of them and they already backed off. They're like, you know what, these things suck.
Right. Okay.
And there's reasons for it. This little thing is not like the mecca of using hydrogen properly. This
Sure.
is just, in my personal opinion, it's just a gimmick.
Okay.
Does it make a little hydrogen? Yes. But they use cheap plated metals. You don't, in my opinion, you never want to use plated metals when you're dealing with electricity and human consumption of something.
Yeah, I would
I don't
agree.
even know how they get away with it legally, but look at all the stuff that's in our food. So how do they get away with any of this stuff?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know. And then the membranes they use, and I'm just not fond of them.
Y-
And I wasn't getting the results I wanted from hydrogen. And I kept looking at the data thinking, I thought it's supposed to be awesome stuff,
Yeah.
right? And that's when I know so much about the medical aspect of hydrogen. And I thought it was so important. And I was reading all this stuff. But what was really important, which is what I ended up truly becoming a specialist in, is hydrogen production methods.
Oh,
How you make something matters.
okay. Well,
So
right.
if I tell you, hey, it's just an example. If I tell you fruits and vegetables are good for you, does it matter what kind of soil they're grown in? Does it matter if I'm spraying pesticides or herbicides on
Yes.
them? Does it matter if I'm genetically modifying? Does
Yes.
this matter? Of course it matters, right?
Yeah.
So the production of something really, really matters. And when you're talking about a medical grade gas, or at least it should be medical grade, that's the fundamental issue. Medical grade means of high purity. And that's when I realized that there's a ton of shenanigans going on in the hydrogen world, in my opinion. And I
Sure.
see them myself. I know what to look for. And I just can't believe that nobody knows what they're talking about. It's
Yeah.
that bad, at least in America. Japan's different. America is the wild, wild west in a lot of ways. And you have everybody and their mother trying to say that they're an expert and they're trying to sell you something. And it becomes to be very frustrating because you don't know who to trust.
Yeah.
And you can't become an expert in everything, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And I embarked on this journey not because I wanted to, is because I felt that I had to. My life was on the line, right?
Yeah.
And so my life was on the line, and I created the protocols that I created. I put a lot of effort, time, money, all the different things. And that's why I created my YouTube channel, is because I'm going to show people what I actually use. And I only do the best for me, meaning I want the highest purity, the right things that I've actually seen work. And I've spent a
Yeah.
lot of money on blood work and different ways to make sure that what I'm doing is the right thing. And then I'm seeing it work. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And then I just share that with the audience. And that's why I have a lot of audience that really trust me, because I've been offered a lot of money from a lot of different industries, including the hydrogen industry, because they want me to promote certain products. But I'm like, I'm not going to promote garbage. Like, get it
Yeah.
through your head.
Good
But
for
they don't
you.
seem to.
Good for you for
They
having
keep.
integrity. Not everybody does.
Well, you have to, for one, look, I believe very strongly in, do you know how to feed the body? I mean, I believe I know exactly how to feed my body, and I do the right things in regards to that. But at some point, you also have to know how to feed your soul,
Yeah.
you know, because these two are important things. And I realized very quickly, to feed my soul is to love my neighbor, to love, to care about other people, which means that I will only share with you that I know is the right thing to share, because that makes me feel good even about myself. I feel
Sure.
happier. I feel better,
Yeah.
and I can live with myself. And that's just the way that I'm going to live, because life is short. I think we all know that. And I do not want to carry that kind of burden on me, knowing that I was just sold out and that I just wanted
Me
to
neither.
sell some
I can't
garbage,
either.
you know?
We're
So
we're
that's
we're
where I'm
cut of the
at.
same cloth, my friend.
So that's why I'm really glad that you and I are able to sit down and talk about this. And I hope somebody out there gets benefit, because there's a lot of people suffering from a numerous medical issues. I won't go into it in too much detail, which I think are actually being caused on purpose.
Of course, I subscribe to that theory
You know,
1000%.
pretty
I don't take
obvious.
any prescriptions, zero, and I don't
And I've
plan
helped
on
a,
it. I'm planning on it.
and I've helped a lot of people get off of a lot of pharmaceuticals. I mean, the latest testimonial, I should give you a list of all the things that I've seen hydrogen literally do, but the most recent one is a woman who's almost 100 years old. She
Wow.
went to her doctor. They told her that she has multiple heart conditions, which are basically going to end her life, right? I mean, she's almost 100 years old.
Right, right. Yeah.
Excuse me. And on top of it, she's on pharmaceuticals to control her blood pressure, which she's been on, by the way, for almost 40 years, right?
Yeah.
And so she's coming to the end of her rope. And somebody who knows me suggested that she try my protocol.
Okay.
So she did my protocol because the doctors were going to do nothing for her, right?
Right.
They're doing nothing for this lady. And she did my protocol, and shocking, and still my protocol still shocks me to this day, because this is a really recent testimonial. And I've been doing this for almost like a decade or something.
Yeah.
All her heart conditions are gone. No surgery
So what is
needed.
this protocol? Why don't you share that with us?
And they got her off the pharmaceuticals. And even the doctor himself said, I cannot believe what I'm witnessing, but we can clearly see the data showing that all your conditions are gone and that we have to get you off this pharmaceutical because everything's working normally now. And
Yeah.
if you continue to take a blood pressure medications, it lowers your blood pressure too low.
Right, right, right.
And I even got an email, which I share on my channel. I share the testimonials, I share the info. On my channel, I literally shared the email from the doctor clearly stating, the cardiologist saying the issues are gone. We've done the new scans. They don't know how it's happening. Though I've trained actually a lot of doctors and a lot of naturopathic physicians on these methods that I've created when they run out of options. Because there's another woman who's actually in her 20s. I believe she's either 26 or 28. Very sad
Wow.
story. She had a stroke and she literally couldn't walk, talk, or dress herself
That's
anymore.
terrible.
Doctors were working on her for almost 2 years with zero success. They're getting absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
Luckily, the mother met this guy who happened to know me, told him about me. She got on my protocol. I released her story, the email the mother wrote, the pictures on one of my YouTube testimonial videos. This girl is now walking, talking, and dressing herself. And her mother's words touched me so much because what she wrote to me was, you gave me my daughter back.
Yeah. It's
She had
beautiful.
no life anymore.
Yeah.
She was just like a vegetable practically. And that's what feeds my soul, girl.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about, to love others and help others. And so I appreciate you allowing me to be on, because that's all I'm trying to do.
That is a
And
beautiful story.
everything is free, by the way, on my YouTube channel. Everything's free. I don't charge for like paid walls or for information. Everything's free on my YouTube and Instagram and Rumble and Twitter,
Rumble. I've
all
never
that
heard of
stuff.
that. That's a new one. Do I need to get on there too? I'm just kidding. So tell us a little bit more about what makes this, well, the specific type of hydrogen production tool that you use or whatever it is makes it so effective, and how and when it does produce this, how do people incorporate it into their life to create these miraculous turnarounds? Is that the right
So
question? Am I asking the right question?
no,
Does
no,
that make
you're
sense?
asking the right question.
Okay.
I mean, ultimately, when I have lots of different protocols, and the
Okay.
protocols are based on, one, how much effort do you want to put?
Sure.
Because I'll tell you one of the easier ones that I did, and it's a funny story about my father. But easy protocols, and they get more difficult, and also depending on the medical conditions that you have. So if
Sure.
you have something really serious, I'm not going to tell somebody, hey, you can do my easy protocol and expect for your issues to go away,
Right.
because when you have something serious, you got to get real serious.
Yeah.
But to give you like one of the examples of one of my preliminary basic protocols, and I'll use my father as an example because he had
Okay.
issues with blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, glaucoma, and arthritis. Those were his
Okay.
issues.
Okay.
But of course, he told me, he said, look, I see how you live. He knew my protocols and what I do. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to do what you do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change the way I eat. I'm not going to change my lifestyle. I'm just not going to do it. I want to go to restaurants and have cheeseburgers and a beer whenever I want and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I'm willing to do, he said, is I'm willing to clean the water the way that you shared. And for people who want to know what equipment I use, just to make it easy and quick, it's a website called mypurewater.com.
Okay.
And if they want a discount code, it's the same name as my YouTube channel, Uprising 144K. And
Okay.
that's what I call a carbon distiller. People can watch my video 388, where I explain that all water filtration is not created equal.
Okay.
This is very important because there are crazy things in our water. I literally have a third-party lab report right here of different things that are in our water. And I'm telling you right now, pages and pages of different just chemicals, pharmaceuticals, microplastics. I mean, the list is so massive of stuff that's in our water. Now, the question is, I could complain all day long about what's in our water, but what do I rather do? I'll show you how to clean it out of your water.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, your average water filter is not doing it. It's
Well, right.
eliminating some stuff, but I don't want some stuff eliminated. I want all stuff eliminated. I don't want anything in my water that is not of the highest purity. So that's part of my protocol, clean water. Okay. Now, that's all great, but clean water is foundational. But is it going to fix your issues? I hate to say it, but most likely not.
Yeah.
Cleaning your water is more of like a preventative, because if the water is making you sick and you can prevent that from happening, but once you get sick, you need something a little more. And then the second part of my protocol is properly made, properly used molecular hydrogen. Okay.
Okay.
And that's where things got really tricky, because again, there's so much stuff out there. Again, tablets, bottles, Kangen machines, just so much, dare I say, in my opinion, garbage,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah. That's true for
That's my
anything though,
opinion.
right?
I'm sorry.
That's true for anything though. You got like
That's
the
right.
good, the best of the best, and you got everything else.
I mean, you can go buy one car that's a piece of crap and falls apart so quickly, or a car that can go a million miles, but you got to
Right.
know which one to pick, right?
Exactly.
And it makes it very difficult if you're not an engineer or haven't done deep dive and research into whatever product you're looking at.
Right. Okay.
So that's why I'm here, because I spent a massive amount of my life trying to figure this out. And it led me, it would have been so much easier, by the way. It led me to the #1 hydrogen company in the world that happens to be in Japan. If I would have just looked up what the #1 company in the world, it would have been so much easier.
Can you
But
Google search that? Will they pop up?
holy no, because there's so many things against them. In Japan, they became #1. In America, what makes you #1 is not necessarily being the best.
Well,
It's
right, because
about,
you can pay for that spot. See,
that's
now we're
exactly it.
talking about water. I'm wondering, like, what did I just drink?
Yeah, because by the way, bottled water in those type of plastic bottles have
I
the
know.
highest level of microplastics than anything you consume.
Well, this is actually the water came out of my fridge, so if it was
Oh,
filtered
okay.
through my fridge, but
Well,
I know it's in the plastic, so that's not good.
but you're actually using your refrigerator water filter.
Yeah,
You're definitely going to want to watch my video 388, because those
you're
filters,
scaring me now.
well, it's not about scaring you, right? It's about giving you facts and
Right.
data so that you can either choose to use it or not use it.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, my father was like, I'm only going to do the clean water with the best hydrogen in the world.
Okay.
And he goes, that's it. Now, in my mind, I remember thinking, you know, Dad, for a lot of these serious issues, you need to do better. You need to
Right.
do more than
Right.
just that.
Right.
But then I always like to try to think positive, right? So I thought, you know what? This might be kind of quote unquote a great experiment. Let's see if he can continue to live his life. And let's see if hydrogen does do anything. You know, let's see how powerful this stuff is.
Yeah.
Well, just so you know, all those issues went away.
So how long
All
did he do that for, though? So how
yeah.
long did he implement this protocol until all those things started to go away?
Everything went away in 6 to 8 months,
Okay. All right.
except for one thing,
What's
and
that?
that was his glaucoma.
Oh,
So
okay.
the glaucoma, he had glaucoma for like over 30 years. And he had to go to the doctor every single year to make sure that they're monitoring him, because otherwise he could go blind.
Right.
They
Right.
might have to adjust his medication and just make sure where he's at, right?
Sure.
So when he went after a year of using hydrogen, they told him, still have glaucoma, everything's normal, keep taking your medicine. And I remember thinking, okay, so it doesn't work for glaucoma maybe, or we need more time.
Yeah.
The second year, because now he's got a routine. He always drinks his clean water with hydrogen. That's the routine, right? And some inhalation. And second year, he got his eyes checked, same results. And after the second year, I kind of gave up on it. I thought, you know what? Maybe hydrogen doesn't work for
Sure.
everything. Of course, it
Yeah.
can't work for everything. But if it worked for all his issues except for glaucoma, I'm happy. I'm grateful with that,
Absolutely. That's a win.
right?
That's a win.
But then on the third year, I'd already given up. He called me and he says, "You're not going to believe this." I'm like, "What's going on, Dad?" He goes, "I'm at the eye doctor right now." And I said, "I already know it doesn't work for that glaucoma.
Yeah.
We've been looking at this. Just, I'm cool with that. You don't have to update me every time you go to the eye doctor." He said, "No, you don't understand. I just got tested and they're telling me my glaucoma's gone." And
Get
even the
the F
doctor,
out.
it was nuts. Even his own doctor, eye doctor, said, "I don't even believe the results myself because you've
So,
been coming here for over 30 years."
yeah.
So they requested a new test within 2 weeks. He went back 2 weeks later. They did the test again. No glaucoma. The doctor's like, "No, this is not possible. This doesn't happen. As
Yeah.
you get older, it only gets worse. Nobody gets better." Okay.
Right.
So he went back again. Same results again. And then finally the doctor said, "This is ridiculous. We know you have glaucoma. Something's clearly wrong." They ended up getting an appointment with one of the number one specialists on the West Coast. It took like half a year to get the appointment because they do testing with different types of equipment. It's
Sure.
more involved. They really wanted to make sure because they were concerned that he could go blind
Yeah.
if he stops using medication. And in the end, they pretty much confirmed that it was gone. And they just couldn't believe it. And that's just one of many stories. I've worked with a lot of people with like macular degeneration, cataracts, different eye issues.
Yeah.
I've also worked with a lot of people with dementia, Alzheimer's, TBI, traumatic brain injury, with amazing success. There's a beautiful story. Even the company interviewed this woman who I worked with. It was a very touching story because she had TBI, traumatic brain injury, and it just screwed up her whole life.
Yeah.
When I talked to her, she would forget what she's saying every like 10,
Oh,
20,
wow.
30 seconds. It was really bad. And the story was so weird because I helped her and I said, "Get something to write down because you're gonna have to write these things down because she keeps forgetting."
Right. Yeah.
So she needs to have those in order to follow the protocol. And I still remember this. She called me 6 months after the fact, but I didn't know who it was. I hadn't talked to her for half a year. I said, "Do this protocol and do your best."
Yeah.
She calls me and I don't know who it is. And I'm like, "Hey," she goes, "Hey, this is so and so." And I was like, "Okay, I don't even know how you got my number." And she said, "I just wanted to tell you something." And I was like, "Okay." She said, "Thank you for saving my life."
Oh, wow.
And I said,
That's
"Who is
beautiful.
this?" I said, "Well, I was confused though." I said, "I didn't jump into no river and save somebody from drowning." I'm like, "Who is
There are
this?"
many ways you can save someone, okay?
But me being the skeptic that I am, I'm like, "Do you think you might have the wrong person?" And she goes,
Yeah.
"No, you don't remember me?" And I was like, "Who is this?" And she said, "Don't you remember the lady in Hawaii with the TBI?" And she started reminding me. And I was like, "Oh my God, I remember who you are. How have you been? How is the
Yeah.
protocol working?" She said, "It's incredible." And I could tell by talking to her because that's why I didn't recognize her.
Sure. Yeah,
Talking to her clearly now,
she's not
you
forgetting
know?
things every 20 seconds. So
And so,
how many people do you think you've worked with?
oh my gosh, um, a very large number, thousands.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that I've seen, I literally can't believe what I'm witnessing. You know what just happened the other day? Here's another one. I'm working with this guy who has, it's a long story, but basically they had a Parkinson's patient.
Okay.
The Parkinson's patient couldn't even stand on his own, let alone walk.
Yeah.
He just messaged me the day before yesterday and sent me video footage. He goes, "I cannot believe it." Because he was a skeptic about the hydrogen. And I kept pushing. I said, "Dude, don't use the wrong equipment. You're not going to get the results you need." And people keep hearing stuff from other people and they don't know who to trust.
Yeah.
Finally, for the love of God, he actually trusted me. He did it. And he goes, "I will not believe this unless I witness it myself." And I said, "Look, there's already studies on hydrogen, not 10, not 20, over 2,000 studies. It's already being medically used. There's already so much proof. What do you need?" He goes, "I need to see it for myself." And I was like, "All right." So we've been working together for months, and I just got the message the other day, and he sent me footage. The guy with Parkinson's is walking on his own now. It's
That's
unbelievable.
amazing. That's
And
amazing.
people don't, I mean, because there's no large, I have never been able to be on a large enough platform to share it with the world.
Yeah.
And most of the industry, just so you know, they hate me because they don't want me saying, "Hey, I don't like bottles." You know, they want me to support these products. But I won't do it because only what's actually going to work. That's
So
my
how,
motto.
so how do you ingest? So you are a big believer in this holy hydrogen.
Holy hydrogen, yeah.
Holy. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Holly. What the hell heck's wrong with me?
I don't know.
Holy hydrogen, like holy. Um,
Yeah.
what sets them apart? And so when someone like what can someone purchase to produce this and how do you intake it or ingest it? What does that look like? Because I'm very confused. Like how do you produce this gas and allow it to like infiltrate your
Okay,
body?
we got two questions here. One, how does the machine actually produce it and why it's so
Yes.
special? Or two, how do you actually implement what you're producing?
Yes. 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 Okay.
So which one first?
How does it produce first?
Okay.
Tell us about the machine from
So
holy hydrogen.
what makes, and by the way, this is important. The guy who produced this machine, because you have an industry that wants to just, I hate to say it, just make cheap garbage so they can make big profits. I mean, that's the whole point of the game here, apparently. The guy who produced this machine, I didn't even know his story. I went off the data, and eventually I found out this guy produced the machine, this Japanese guy, for his own daughter. Okay.
Oh wow.
So his daughter was born with ALS. If anybody wants to read the story, it's unbelievable. I literally can't read it without crying because it's so sad. But you can read the story on holyhydrogen.com on the About Us page, and they have the full story there. And I encourage people to read it and share it because this, again, the story is so unreal
Yeah.
that his daughter was born with a severe form of ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. She'd be lucky to make it to the age of 3, maybe 5.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
so it was so sad. And he was willing to do anything to try to help his daughter. This guy is, someday I want to meet this guy, you
Yeah.
know, and his heart, because see, that's where the machine came from. It
Yeah.
came from the love for his daughter. It wasn't about profit. They told him to make it in China because he could save money. He said, I don't care about the money. I want to make this thing the best. And so he made it all in Japan, all engineered, all hand built, all lab tested, everything in Japan, right?
Okay.
Because
Mhm.
he wanted it done right. His daughter is now almost 18 years old, by the way. It's absolutely miraculous what's happened to this girl based on the right type of hydrogen. He actually tried to take like tablets, the bottles, the Kangen
Yeah.
type of machines. He actually took those to the doctor that was treating her, and he said, "Don't give her any of these. You know, the purity has to be so high in order for it to be safe."
Right.
And that's the thing that people don't talk about a lot for his specific daughter. And there's going to be more information probably coming about that in the future. But the point is that the product that he needed didn't exist.
Right.
And so you won't believe what he did straight from the heart. Because Japan does beautiful things sometimes like this where they work together and it's not about the money. You're not going to believe who helped him because he needed top engineers, hydrogen specialists. He got help from Toyota.
Oh wow.
He got help from Yamaha. He got help from Kobe Steel. Huge, the science that they have in regards to the science of metallurgy.
Sure.
So
Sure.
the science of metals, they're not using cheap plated Chinese metals.
Yeah.
It's of the highest purity. They're the only hydrogen company that doesn't use plated metal. The only one.
Wow.
It's too
Wow.
expensive,
Yeah. I can
and
imagine.
the process is very tedious and difficult. Most people can't even do it, even if they wanted to.
Sure.
So they needed the technology. And they even got G-Shock, the watch company, all these engineers, all these companies to help him on a project that was from the heart, and it was all about doing something the right way. He never expected to make the best hydrogen machine in the world, and he never expected to be the number one hydrogen company in the world in Japan
Sure.
because of creating this beautiful device that has done, if it wasn't for this device, I don't even think I'd be alive. So I do
That's
honestly feel like I owe this guy my life.
yeah, for sure. Well, let's start shorthanding these answers. So, how does it
Yes.
produce the hydrogen, and then how do we ingest it or implement it into our routine?
So there's numerous ways to make hydrogen. I'm not going to go down the list because there's
Okay.
different ways to do it.
Okay.
He chose, so if you were to look at a list of all the methods, there's pros and cons about each one.
Right.
And he chose the most difficult one because it was the best one. All he wanted to do was choose the best, and the best ended up being the most difficult. So the device that he created, it has a bunch of one-off technologies, meaning that nobody else has it. They're the only company in the world that has all this tech. And one of them is the metal. That's
Okay.
really, and they're using an expanded metal technology. It's not plated, not coated. all
Sure.
high grade purity, really, really good metal. That's the first part. Then they use a membrane that's really special. Again, nobody in this industry, most of these bottles like this, they don't want to tell you this. They try to hide it from you. The membranes in these are from a company called DuPont. You ever heard of DuPont?
Yeah.
Chemical company, right?
Right. Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
a very
Yeah.
good people don't like
No.
those. And then so they try to hide the fact, and it's just a single layered membrane that was never even intended for human consumption, if you can believe that. Okay.
Wow.
And so they don't tell you these things. So this guy had to develop a triple layer membrane that is for human consumption of extreme high purity. They're the only company in the world that even has it. That's another, I mean, these are just bonkers things
Sure.
that he had to create. And then it has a true dual chamber process to make the hydrogen, meaning that electricity never touches the water. So when you're ionizing water, like with a
Yeah.
Kangen machine or a water ionizer, you're electrolyzing the water you're going to be drinking.
Okay.
And
Right.
they found that that creates impurities.
Oh, wow.
And
Interesting.
not only impurities, think about this. How much stuff is in our water?
Right. Yeah.
Pages of stuff. Do you not think that
We
electricity?
know that, but yet we still drink it.
I know. I don't get it, right? People want to take all these pills to try to solve their medical issues. They don't even think about preventing the stuff that might be making you sick, that
Yes.
might be in your water, which, clearly I'm a fan of clean water. And so you don't know how electricity interacts with any of these things.
Right.
And they knew that. That's why they couldn't produce a machine that would do that. And on it goes. The machine, it even have to have a special computer, a one-off again, to prevent, it's to regulate the electrical current so that you don't get spikes in electricity, which is very common, which causes harm to the membrane, harm to the metal, creates more impurities.
Right.
Electricity will arc into the pitcher. So it's a beautiful design. The design is beautiful and simple, kind of like a samurai sword. You know, it's simple, but it's gorgeous. And the hydrogen that it produces is second to none. I mean, it is of the utmost quality.
Okay.
And then they lab tested the crap out of the machine, and every single machine gets lab tested and certified. Nobody in the industry does that either because it's too expensive.
Right.
Nobody wants to do that, requires special equipment. And so, anyway, they made the best machine in the world. And that's why I'm a huge fan. And what it does is it'll dissolve the hydrogen gas into the water properly
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
in a very stable manner, uses the best nano bubble technology, which is also super important. They started structuring the hydrogen. Nobody in the industry has ever done anything like that before. And with all the technology they had, they created something that even the creator himself was shocked of this device. Because when they were measuring the hydrogen, it was measuring higher than it should. And they couldn't understand why, because it was like breaking the laws of physics. It was like,
Sure.
didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And they created something that I call sticky hydrogen. So the
Okay.
hydrogen begins to stick to things, which is a good thing because it makes it more stable, more bioavailable, along with the nanobubbles. It just works way better.
Okay.
And then the other little secret that they don't tell you in the hydrogen industry is because they're using the wrong type of membranes, the cheap metals, no good computer to regulate the current. These things will make hydrogen for a little while, but then the problem is within 6 months, a lot of people have been shown that their bottles are making virtually nothing.
Well, yeah, I can see that, especially if it's
And
just like a cheap gimmicky item.
and that happens with virtually almost every hydrogen machine out there.
Yeah.
And so this one is different because it uses a super low amount of electricity due to a technology that nobody has.
Okay.
And with super high in metal and membrane, you're not damaging it because it's so strong and you're using such low electrical current. They tested the machine after 5 years of usage. It's still making almost all the hydrogen it did when it was brand new.
That's
Nobody
amazing.
can do that.
And so can anybody buy this machine?
Luckily, yes, because when I was trying to get it, it was really hard to get your hands on it
Okay.
because the guy was never going to sell the machine outside of Japan. It was supposed to only
Oh,
be for Japan. And there were so many requests from other places in the world, even China. It's funny, they produce all these,
yeah.
in my opinion, garbage machines. And apparently, the people in the real know in China, they all want the Japanese Lord's Hydro
Well,
fix.
yeah, I mean, if it's that great of quality. Now, do you hook it up to your sink, the water, your tap water, or what do you do? How do you?
No. So that's the other beautiful part. Any device that you have to hook up directly to your sink is already a problem
Okay.
because you are now being forced to use your tap water and you're being forced to use it through the filters that they provide you.
Sure.
But as I already stated, you can't clean your water to the highest degree with those type of filters. It's just not possible.
Right. Okay.
So that's why I show people, and it's a whole other company, the one that does the carbon distillation. That's the clean your water. Then it's a whole other company. So see, here I'm finding the best companies with the best products, and it
Right.
was
Okay.
not easy. It took a long time.
So what do you do with the holy hydrogen machine?
So what you do, it's a hydrogen generator. So I take the super clean water that I make,
Okay.
and they have a pitcher, and I pour it into the pitcher.
Okay.
You hit one button, and it begins to dissolve the hydrogen gas into that. And whenever you're ready, you can lift up the pitcher, pour a glass, put it back on the machine. It maintains the hydrogen levels. They made it super easy.
Wow. So
And
you
then
got
you
to
can,
clean the water first, then put it in there for the hydrogen. And so is this machine big or is it
so that's
like,
the other beautiful part. Sometimes people see big machines and they think the bigger is better. No, just
yeah,
remember how big our computers and our televisions used to be. you know?
yeah.
So
True.
they use the technology to actually make it smaller because that's what the Japanese tend to like to do.
Right.
It's very small, very light, very easy to use. They couldn't have made it easier for us, quote unquote, somebody who wants access to the best hydrogen there is. And on top of that, the machine also does hydrogen gas inhalation. And this is important
So you
because
mean just like put it on your nostrils or something and you like inhale it?
that's
Oh,
right.
okay. Okay.
There's different benefits from the water and
Sure.
from inhaling the gas. And together, I created a protocol where you use both, and it just works amazingly well that way. And after I created that protocol, there's a lot of people who actually watch me and they kind of steal my ideas or whatnot, and they claim to be experts. But every time because I noticed a pattern, every time I release information on my channel, magically 2 to 3 months later, they're doing a study on exactly my method. I mean, it got to be a little
Well,
weird
that's a
after a while.
compliment to you that you're pulling the curtains open about behind these different options for people. And so we're gonna start wrapping things up here. So where
Yeah.
can people learn more about you? I know we already mentioned your YouTube channel, but why don't you say that again? Learn more about the hydrogen machine and what any other links that you'd like to share.
So the biggest thing is if anybody wants to support what I'm doing and look at this information, it's all free. And I encourage people to subscribe to all the platforms that I'm on because I have been attacked and these things could be removed. And it's been close. And so if they get removed, then what you can end up doing is finding me on one of my other channels and I'll guide you where I'm starting a new channel. So that's on Twitter, otherwise known as X, Rumble, Instagram, and YouTube, and the names is either Uprising 144K or Hydrogen Man. Those are the ways you typically find me. And if people really want to email me too, they can email me at uprising144k@gmail.com. If for some reason they're like, hey, I want to consult, I have
Sure.
some questions, stuff like that. So
Oh,
that's how they
awesome.
do it.
So you'll do consulting as well. Fantastic. You guys, I'm gonna put those links in the show notes. So if you connect with Greg, want to learn more about his methods and his what do you call it? Your protocol.
Protocols.
Don't
Yeah.
hesitate to reach out, give him a follow, and send him an email. And it doesn't hurt to give it a try. Greg, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
Well, I think that the greatest wealth is health, obviously. So, and I think that foundationally, excuse me, I got something stuck in my throat. Foundationally, clean water, clean air, and hydrogen are the most powerful methods that I've ever seen to improving your life. And they're simple,
Yeah.
you know, but you have to drink water the right amounts and you want it to be clean, you want it to be the best. And if you add hydrogen to it, geez, now you take it to a whole other level. You practically make it holy water. It's crazy.
The holy hydrogen. Just really quick, like what is the cost on the hydrogen machine? Is it expensive?
Actually, it's crazy affordable. To make that level of quality of hydrogen would have cost so much money years ago. Now you can get it for 2,500 bucks. So it's not like
Okay.
30,000 or 20,000 or even
Right.
6,000.
Okay.
And the good news about it is that in the long term, it's actually the cheapest way to make hydrogen because the machine lasts so long
Sure.
and
Yeah.
makes hydrogen for so long, it actually ends up being the cheapest way to do it too in the long
Yeah.
term.
Awesome. Well, Greg, thank you so much. We learned a lot, and I think we could have kept going. You could have kept teaching us and keep getting our books out and taking notes. But I learned a lot. Thank you so much for sharing. Now I'm super interested in getting the thing that you said for the water to clean my water and looking into this hydrogen machine because it doesn't hurt to add a different protocol that's going to improve the quality of your life and keep you healthy long term. So thank you for sharing your story and how you've helped people and the different things that you've discovered along the way. So we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you also. And I just hope people really found the information helpful and I hope it changes their lives.
Absolutely. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.